October 28th, 1942. 3:11 hours. The North Atlantic breathes like a dying animal, slow, cold, heavy with salt and silence. I'm alone in the wireless cabin of the HMS Blackwood, headphones clamped tight over ears that have memorized every whisper of static, every ghost in the ether. My fingers rest on the brass keys of the Marconi transmitter, numb from the damp chill that never leaves this ship. Outside, convoy ON-139 stretches into the dark 32 merchant vessels hauling steel, coal, and the fragile hope of a Britain that hasn't slept properly since 1939. My logbook lies open on the scarred wooden desk. All channels monitored, no enemy contact. It's a lie we all agree to tell, like saying, the sea isn't watching, like pretending the wolves aren't hungry. Then through the special frequency, the one only Bletchley, Usiza Signa, encrypted, urgent, marked eyes, only do not, log, burn after reading. My hands move automatically. I slot in the Naval Enigma M4 sitting rotor's eye. 3:8. Reflector becross, referenced with the daily key from yesterday's midnight update. It takes me 90 seconds to decrypt. 90 seconds that feel like a lifetime. The message reads, U-559 confirmed at 28N3 2E surface only. Propeller damaged. Crew attempting to board. An opportunity exists. Do not acknowledge. Do not alter course visibly. If visual contact occurs, treat as unknown vessel. Under nitrogen monoxide circumstances reveal Enigma compromised. Thousands depend on your silence. I read it 3 times. My throat goes dry. U-559. A Type IX long range, deadly, responsible for sinking SS Empire Star just last month. And now it's crippled. Floating. Defenseless. This isn't just a sighting. It's a key. If we board it, we get the short weather cipher, and possibly the 4-rotor Enigma machine itself. With those, Bletchley can breach U-boat traffic for months. Maybe end the Battle of the Atlantic by spring. But the order's explicit: do not act openly. Because if Dunitz suspects Enigma is broken, he'll scrap the entire system by dawn. And every convoy we've saved since August, every ship that reached Liverpool with food, fuel, medicine, all of it undone. 10,000 lives a month, lost again to the wolf packs. And it will be our fault. Not for failing to act, but for acting too well. I stare at the coordinates. 28N32E. 63 miles northeast. If we turned now, full speed, we'd be there by 7 o'clock. Dawn, perfect light for a boarding party. But we won't turn, because our mission isn't to sink one U-boat. It's to let it vanish. So we can sink them all. At 4:02, the lookout bell rings. Sharp. Uneasy. I rush to the bridge. Captain Mallory is already there. Binoculars raised, face carved from granite by 20 years of war. Rain begins to fall fine. Cold, relentless. What's out there, Ellis? He asks, not looking at me. My mouth opens. I could say, it's fog. A false echo, but I've seen the signal. I know what's waiting in that patch of ocean. Could be a vessel, sir, I say, voice steady, despite the tremor in my gut. No ID. Yet. Mallory lowers the binoculars. His eyes lock onto mine. He doesn't ask for the log. He doesn't need to. He's served with men from Room 40 in the last war. He knows the weight of signals that never appear on paper. He holds my gaze for a long moment. Then, softly, maintain course. Full speed. No one else on deck understands the order. But I do. We're letting it go. Back in the wireless cabin, I feed the decrypted slip into the small stove beside my desk. The paper curls into ash, vanishing like the chance we just ignored. I open my private notebook, the one hidden beneath the spare valves, and write only. Saw him. Let him live. To kill the war. It feels like betrayal. Not of the Admiralty, not of the King, but of the men who died to get us this far, the codebreakers, in their freezing huts at Bletchley, the sailors in HX-79, who went down without a distress call because we couldn't warn them yet, the commandos who bled on Dieppe trying to steal a machine we now hold in our hands and refuse to use. That morning, over weak tea and hard biscuits, Jenkins jokes about sinking U-boats in his sleep. I smile. But inside, I'm hollow, because I know the truth. The real war isn't fought with depth charges. It's fought in the space between what you see and what you pretend not to. And some nights, that space is wide enough to drown in. 3 days later, we docked at Liverpool. Rain slicked the cobblestones as the crew disembarked laughing, tired, alive. No one know we'd sailed within sight of victory and turned away. No one knew that silence had been our weapon. I stood on the pier, watching dock workers unload crates of flour and tinned milk, children waving at returning fathers. I thought of U-559, drifting in the dark, its crew believing they'd escaped by luck. They had no idea they'd been spared by design. That night, in a pub near the docks, I overheard 2 ratings from HMS Petard boasting about a routine patrol near 28N. One of them, drunk on ale and pride, whispered, "We boarded a Hun sub. Took their bloody machine. They never saw us coming." My blood ran cold. Petard, of course, they weren't part of the convoy. They could act without raising suspicion. The Admiralty had sent them in like shadows. I didn't say a word, just finished my pint and walked into the rain. Back aboard the Blackwood a week later, I received a sealed envelope, marked personal, from Naval Intelligence. Inside was a single line, typed, "Your silence saved more than you know. Do not speak of it. Evera?" No signature. No thanks. Just a command wrapped in gratitude. I burned it in the mess stove. But the words stayed with me, months passed. The U-boat losses mounted not in dramatic battles, but in quiet disappearances. Convoys began arriving intact. Newspapers called it a turn in fortune. Only we knew the truth. The wolf packs were blind, and we'd made them so not with guns, but with restraint. But the haunting didn't stop. In my dreams, I saw the faces of U-559's crew not as enemies, but as boys like me, writing letters home, mending socks, sharing rations. I wondered if any of them survived the Petard's raid. I hoped they did, and I hated myself for hoping. In 1946, long after the war ended, I visited Bletchley Park, by then closed, overgrown, forgotten. I stood in the empty shell of Hut 8, where Turing and his team had turned mathematics into mercy. A groundskeeper found me there, staring at the floorboards. "Looking for ghosts?" he asked. "Yes," I said, "the kind that saved us." He nodded, as if he understood. "They never got medals, never got names, just silence." "Sometimes," I replied, "silence is the heaviest medal of all." Years later, my daughter found my old notebook while cleaning the attic. She read the entry for October 28, 1942, and looked up, eyes wide. "Did you really let a U-boat go to win the war?" I didn't answer right away. Outside, the wind rustled the trees, like static through a receiver. I didn't let it go. I said finally, I gave it to someone else, so they could finish what we started. She was quiet for a long time. "Ten said, that's not a betrayal, Dad. That's trust. Maybe she's right, but trust doesn't ease the memory of watching smoke fade on the horizon while your hands itch to act. Trust doesn't quiet the voice that asks, what if I was wrong? What if one U-boat today was worth 100 tomorrow? History says we were right. The Atlantic was won by May 1943. Dunitz pulled his wolves back. The convoy sailed free. Millions lived because we chose silence over spectacle. But no history book mentions the nights men like me lay awake, wondering if the cost of victory was a piece of our soul. Because here is what they daren't tell you. Breaking the enemy's code was easy. Breaking your own heart, that was the real war. And some wounds never heal. They just learned to speak in static. If this story made you pause, it made you question what victory really cost then. Do me a favor. Share it. Speak of the silence. Honor the men who chose not to fire, so others could live to hear the peace. Because the greatest battles aren't always fought with weapons. Sometimes they're fought in the quiet space between a signal received and a key unpressed. The code we broke changed the war, but the silence we kept changed us forever.